Today I want to dive into setbacks, and I want to talk about how to turn setbacks into success. We're going to understand the true meaning of a setback. I'm going to give you my AAA framework for turning a setback into success, and I also want to cover the importance of learning from our mistakes. So join me now. We got a lot to cover. It's time to break barriers and build legacy. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's Rob here, and I am talking today about turning setbacks into success because this is a key component to being able to bust out of a rut and get unstuck when you're stuck, right? So a setback, let's talk about that first, right? Some people call it failure, okay? I don't. Again, this is something I've talked about in prior videos. I don't use the word failure very often. Usually only when I am quoting someone else is when I'll use the word failure. I'm using it here because it's a common word that most of us understand a certain way, okay? But again, just like perfectionism and just like the word perfect, I kind of redefined failure. Rejection is another word that I redefined for myself. These were ideas that I implemented in order to help myself, in order to serve myself. So failure is not a word that I use. I don't see something as a failure. I just see it as a result when I get a result that I don't want. It's just a result that I don't want, okay? It's not a failure. It's not a success. It's just a result, all right? And if I look at it as just a result, what have I done? I've removed the energy from it. I've removed the emotion from it, okay? So I don't have this thing about failure, right? That a lot of us go through, okay? It just isn't there for me, okay? Because it's just a result, okay? So once I have looked at it that way and I've figured out that it's just a result, now I can look at it dispassionately and I can step back and I can say, okay, what is it I can do differently next time to get a different result, right? Maybe that result's going to be closer to success. Maybe it's not. Usually it is because I've done some other things to tweak the process to get closer to success. But maybe it's not quite success yet either. Doesn't mean it's a failure. Just means it's a different result. So now what can I do to get closer and closer to success? All right. So again, you want to call them tricks. You want to call them hacks. You want to call it lying to myself. I don't care. Whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. It works for me. And I encourage you to adopt this kind of strategy because maybe it'll work for you too. All right. Now, setbacks, what are they? Well, they are opportunities, okay? They are opportunities in disguise, if you will, okay? A setback reveals an opportunity because what it does is it gives you the chance to examine what you've done and change it. Examine how you were able to create the result that you created, okay? Again, we talk always about owning your results and owning your actions, right? This is very important, and this is one reason why. If you own your result, then you can look at this and you can say, this was a setback. This wasn't the result I wanted. What's the opportunity here? What can I get out of this? What can I learn from this? Okay. So the real meaning of a setback is that it's an opportunity for you. It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to grow. It's an opportunity to expand. And it's an opportunity to take another hack, to take another swing and try and hit a home run this time. Okay. So don't be afraid of setbacks. Okay. Setbacks are opportunities. There's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to stress out over, right? It's just a setback, and we all have them. And so you are able to power through it once you realize that it's an opportunity, okay? And the I guess framework that I use, or the methodology that I use, I call it my AAA method, all right? The AAA stands for 3A words, okay? Analyze, adjust, and advance, all right? What is this? Well, analyze is the first A in my AAA method. You analyze what happened, okay? You do this as dispassionately as possible. Again, it's not as easy to do if you have this specter of failure hanging over, right? If you have this cloud of I don't know what it would be, regret maybe that you didn't, again, it's not easy for me to relate anymore because even though I used to see failure in this way, it's been years since I changed the definition for myself. So it's hard for me to step back into that, and I don't want to because it gets me back into those old habits again. But analyzing something from a dispassionate view, right? analyzing what happened, okay? The facts, all right? And not injecting all this other stuff into it, all this other meaning and all these other things, just analyzing what happened. What happened, all right? What result did I get and why? What did I do, okay? That's the key. This analysis has to be objective. I guess that's the word that I'm looking for the most, okay? An objective analysis of what did I do and what result did it cause, all right? The law of cause and effect, okay? The law of cause and effect doesn't care who you are, how you feel, where you came from, none of that. The law of cause and effect just exists, okay? It's like gravity. It's the same thing, all right? It's something that you can't deny, the law of cause and effect, okay? So that's what we're looking at here. The analyze portion of this, the first A, this is the law of cause and effect. And this is me looking at what happened and tracing back and figuring out what I did to cause that. So now that brings to the second A, which is adjust, right? So now that I know what I did and what got me to a certain result, what am I going to change? Most of the time, me personally, I just change one thing, all right? Because I want to know if it worked or not. And I don't mind if the next result isn't quite where I want to go, as long as it's in the right direction. So if I change one thing and I put it in the right direction, then now I'm closer, right? And now I can look and I can analyze and I can adjust the second time, and I can figure out something else small to do that might get me closer. If I go about changing 16 different factors, then I could wind up changing something that makes everything bottom out. And now I don't get closer and I get further away. And what's worse is I changed so many things that I don't know what it is that I did to make myself go that far away from the result. You ever have that happen to you? I used to. So I adopted this AAA framework again and created this so that I could systematically get to the results that I want to get to. And that's really what this is, more of a system than it is a framework, although those words are sort of interchangeable. But my system has me going from analysis to adjustment and then advance, okay? Leave that crap behind that just happened. It's in the past. You can't do anything about it. Don't dwell on the result that you got that you didn't want. You analyze it, you make the adjustments, and then you advance. You go forward with the new plan, with the new approach, with the new tweak to the system that will enable you theoretically and hopefully to get closer to the result that you want. And like I say, in many cases it does for me because I've gotten good at this, because I've done it so much. This is a big thing with repetition. When you do a lot of things one time each, you don't get very good at any of them. When you do something over and over and over and over again, you start to get really good at it. And so this AAA framework, when I first adopted it, it was difficult, just like anything is. I stuck with it because I had faith in it, and I went, and now I'm very good at it, so that most of the time I get closer to the result that I want, all right? And that's the key, is that repetition and keeping after it, right? So again, AAA, analyze, adjust, advance, right? That's the framework that I use. Now here's the most important thing of all. This analysis portion, again, I talked about analyzing objectively, all right? And it reminds me, and this is something that I borrowed really to was the catalyst for this whole method. I borrowed from my chess playing days. I used to be a competitive chess player. I used to teach chess and coach chess students in tournaments and things. And so one of the things that happens for chess players is after a game, we do something that's called a postmortem, all right? That usually involves the two players who played in the game going out of the tournament hall and going somewhere else private that they can, so they don't disturb the other players, where they can analyze the game that they just played with each other. And the person who won, or the person who had an advantage or something, maybe the game ended up a draw, but the person had an advantage, they'll talk about how they got that advantage, right? Or if they won the game, they'll tell the other player, this is where you went wrong, and this is what I was able to capitalize on. And that player kind of gets a free chess lesson, right? Now, it doesn't feel very good until you learn to shed your feelings over it and shed your ego and understand that it's a learning opportunity and understand that if you are willing, you can get better as a result, right? And that's one of the biggest keys for chess players of all, is learning from your mistakes and learning from your losses. And the games that you lose are far more instructive than the games that you win. All right. And so that's what I kind of adopted, that mentality for this AAA thing. And that analyze portion, it came from those postmortems. It came from that idea. Now, in a chess postmortem, most of the time, you're just looking for one key lesson. You're looking for that one moment where things turned, where you made a mistake and your opponent capitalized, and from there the game was lost, right? In some cases, there's kind of a back and forth at the chessboard, and so your opponent will have an advantage, and then they'll make a mistake, and you'll be on top, and you'll capitalize on that, but then you make another mistake, and then the opponent, and it goes kind of back and forth like that. And so then there's a lot to talk about in the postmortem, and maybe there's more than one thing. Well, what I did in this case of this AAA, I decided that, this postmortem idea is great, okay, but I would rather learn more than one lesson from something that I am trying to do in life, right? This is chess is a great analogy for life in many ways, but only learning one thing from some event in your life, that's not optimal as far as I'm concerned. I want to learn more than that. And so what I did was I decided that when I do this postmortem or this analysis of a setback, I'm looking for three things. I'm looking for three key lessons. Now, sometimes they're not all there. Sometimes there is only one, all right? But most of the time I can find a few things. I can find several things that I can look at and decide and analyze. Okay, look, I went wrong here and here and here, okay? Now, of those three, now I take those and I figure and I go, which one means the most? Which one is going to have the most impact if I change that and if I shift that when I go for this the next time? And so that to me is the value of having three key lessons and having three things to choose from, right? Is now you can look at those and you can go, okay, this was an important factor, but this factor here was more important. If you just stopped at the one, you would never learn those other things, and you might be leaving on the table the most important lesson of the whole thing. So again, in chess, it's kind of one thing you're looking for. I expanded it to three for my AAA method, and it kind of goes hand in hand. AAA, AAA, right? Three key lessons, all right? Our brains work in threes, by the way. I don't know, why that is, but it's been kind of determined through science and stuff. I've heard this a lot, and I've heard it in a lot of places that our brains really work well in threes. And so maybe that's one reason that I gravitated toward three key lessons. But that is how I handle it. That is how I handle a setback, right? I look at it as an opportunity. I analyze dispassionately. I analyze objectively. I look for my three key lessons, and then I make an adjustment, just one usually. I pick one of those three, and then I advance, forget about what just happened, and move forward. And so that's the key to turning setbacks into success. If you want to jump into this stuff even deeper, you want to work together, you want to see what else I have to offer besides these videos here on YouTube, you can join me over at the website. It's www.yoursoulsource.com. Over there you can join my free Performance Accelerator 3-day intensive that is designed to help you get unstuck, to help you with this process of self-discovery, to help you step into a new version of yourself, all right, and many more things. And so that's over there. I invite you to join me. We'll jump on a call at the end of the 3-day intensive so that we can work together on your specific needs and on things that are specific for you. And I just want to help people, jump to new levels and reach new heights in life. That is why I'm here. That is why I do this. That is why I put together the 3-day intensive. So I hope to see you over there. Thank you for joining me here with this video, and I'll see you in the next one.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.